Marriage is designed for people that don't have anything, for them to be able to get ahead, because you can pull 10 times your weight with two people versus pulling double your weight just by yourself. And so that's where, the understanding of it, and I'm not even going to get into the spiritual aspect of it, but the understanding.
See, I think he should get into the spiritual aspect, because I used to be brainwashed and think that, like I said earlier, if I get married to the wrong woman, she could just take half my stuff. I think it's worth the risk, because if you look at marriage in a spiritual aspect, it's supposed to represent the relationship that Christ has with the church. So men are supposed to represent Christ himself, and then women are supposed to represent church, and the church follows Christ. It's supposed to represent that union. And I think that's the most important thing. If more people understood, if they identify as Christians, they need to understand that's what marriage represents. Yo, what's up, everybody? We're back with another reaction. Today, we're reacting to the same podcast that I reacted to in my first video. This podcast, I did a little research. It's called Let's Rant. And the woman that you see on the screen is the host. Her name is Randy Rosario, I believe. And we're watching it off of Anton Daniels' channel, who's like a regular guest on the podcast. But this video is titled, I'm Not Your Partner. Anton explains why women should prefer husbands, not equals, and submit. I agree with that. Women shouldn't be out here looking to just casually date. They should be setting themselves up and honing skills that basically attract husbands. And they shouldn't ever think that we're equal. Like it's kind of absurd. When it comes to the value of life, yes, we're equal. But when it comes to, just who's in charge on planet Earth, it's a no-brainer, man. God placed man in charge, then it's women, then it's children. So let's check this video out, see what it's about.
What are your views on marriage?
First question, what are your views on marriage? Good question.
It's not for me.
Okay. Well, you don't want to get married ever?
No.
Wow, friend, I did not know that.
I don't.
Why?
I just want to just be with a person and just date and just be faithful with them. I don't want to do the whole, all of that. I'm good. I just don't want to do it.
That's weird.
We'll talk about that deeper later.
I wasn't
Cuddy?
expecting that.
I would love
See,
a
he
wedding
don't know
without
either.
the paperwork.
What?
No, I mean, I
Yeah, he
believe in
confused
marriage.
too.
I do. But I don't need it. I don't need it. I see so many people like be miserable based on trying to attain that, that I just don't want that to be like an ultimate goal of mine, and then feel like I'm missing out on everything in between just because I'm trying to like lock somebody in or like.
That's what it is. So she just exposed herself a little bit. It wasn't making sense why they didn't want to be married. I can't speak for the other girl, but this one just exposed herself. She said she doesn't want to feel like she's missing out. So she doesn't want that FOMO. She still want to be out here living a single life. That's what it is. She don't want to hold up to the obligation that she has when she says that she's married to this person for life. She still want to go to them girls trips. She still want to go to the club. That's what that sounds like to me, at least. She said she don't want to feel like she's missing out on everything in between. What is that? Everything in between. What are you missing out on? So I think she just exposed herself a little bit, but let's see what else she got.
Be validated by that specific title. So like I really care about the quality of relationships more than the title. So
Okay.
I really
That's good.
What you got to say?
I've never heard this from a group of women before in my
Me
entire
neither,
life.
big
This is
dog.
wild.
Okay, let's
Times are like me, right?
Let's see. I was gonna, we gonna get out. Let's see what you got.
That sounds like what men would say about marriage. It's like, I want to be with her for life, but I don't want the title, because a lot of men are afraid that they're going to get their assets taken from them. That's how I used to be when it came to marriage. I used to think that like, if I marry the wrong woman, which is kind of on you, you got to vet them properly. But if you marry a woman, she could just up and leave you one day and just take half your shit. So I feel like that's more so like of a man's idea rather than a woman's, but it's interesting. I'm a little confused too.
So far, Crystal, what about you? What do you think of marriage?
I want to get married.
Okay, you want to
Okay,
be a
she
wife?
keep-
I
Keeping it
want to be
real.
a wife. I want to get married. I mean, what was I that kid that grew up dreaming about their wedding? No, not necessarily. I've been through a lot, but it still never shut off the fact that that was something that I wanted.
Okay.
It's
like
always
her-
been
I
a
like her
goal for me,
dress, too.
but if it don't
It was
happen,
nice.
it won't make or
looking
break
good.
me. But I do want to be married. I want people like to say marriage is a business with the paperwork and, you know, all of that and how it goes, licenses, y'all become one, all of that. That's a part of being one. And I believe that's why it is that way. But for me, it's this, like, I don't know, marriage is that, it's a title. It's a title for me, you know, not something that I just like, oh, I went through hell to get here.
Yeah.
Because I don't want that.
Yeah.
If you got to do me bad before you do me good, I don't want to marry you.
Right.
I feel like I want to marry that person that come into my life that's a breath of fresh air. Everything is positive. Not to say things going to be perfect, but, you know, with the right person, you're going to work through it, and things won't be.
So she kind of corrected herself. She said not everything's not going to be perfect. But before that, she said things are always going to be positive. That's a fallacy. That'll never happen. There's going to be a lot of bad times, and it's up to y'all to communicate and to work it out. But she did kind of correct herself on that.
That terrible. Those bad times won't be, oh, he cheated on me, oh, he got somebody pregnant. Them is not situations or people that you want to be with.
Yeah,
I want to
that's
be
true.
with somebody where, like we said previously, I have to learn how to just tone my voice down, you know, when I'm talking to you.
See, that's a problem. You don't, as a woman, you shouldn't have to learn how to tone it down. You should have already been taught that from your father. But that's the problem with the black community. A lot of us don't have dads. So women never learn how to interact with a dominant figure. They never learn how to interact with a masculine figure in their life. They think that we're equal, like the title says, and that they can talk to us like they would talk to each other. We're not the same. I had a woman say one time when we got into an argument, and I ain't gonna say who it was or the name, just to keep them anonymous and just to keep the gossip to a minimal. But she got upset with something that I said, so she told me, I really want to do something to you. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, there is nothing you could possibly do unless you got a firearm. There's no way you could possibly harm me. You could have a knife, you could have a bat. I'm still going to overpower you. We're not equal. So she never learned how to tone it down. And she's bugging out, talking to me crazy. That should be something that you are taught when you're a kid. You know, when you're a toddler, you should be learning manners. Men should be learning how to treat women, and women should be learning how to treat men. You know, we're failing when it comes to like raising kids with manners. I see a lack of manners all across the board.
The type of arguments that we have, and more so not the big stuff that's just breaking your soul apart and tearing you up. I don't want that. I want love and happiness with the right person.
I can respect that. I can understand that.
This is crazy.
I asked everyone that's not married first.
Go to
Intentionally.
Yeah, let's see what he got to say.
I'm asking Anton this question because now I'm going to introduce the topic.
Why he don't get the answer? That's
Marriage
BS.
is a business. True or false? Anton.
True.
That
And as
is
a
true.
matter of fact, marriage is best for poor people.
Okay. And what?
Is because marriage is designed for people that don't have anything, for them to be able to get ahead, because you can pull 10 times your weight with two people versus pulling double your weight just by yourself. And so that's where, you know, the understanding of it, and I'm not even going to get into the spiritual aspect of it, but the understanding.
See, I think he should get into the spiritual aspect, because I used to be brainwashed and think that, like I said earlier, if I get married to the wrong woman, she could just take half my stuff. I think it's worth the risk, because if you look at marriage in a spiritual aspect, it's supposed to represent the relationship that Christ has with the church. So men are supposed to represent Christ himself, and then women are supposed to represent church, and the church follows Christ. It's supposed to represent that union. And I think that's the most important thing. If more people understood, you know, if they identify as Christians, they need to understand that's what marriage represents. As a man in your household, you're supposed to represent Christ, and your woman is supposed to follow you and represent church. And Christ loved the church so much that he literally died for it. I think that every husband should have that same mentality for his family. So I think he should talk about the spiritual aspect. The financial gains and the tax write-offs and all that other stuff should be second to the spiritual stuff. But let's see what he got to say.
But the understanding of it from a business perspective, by default, women look at it from a business perspective because they want the best available option. That's what makes them hypergamous, right? They want a guy that meet expectations, and that's why they're trained not to date based off of potential, but to date based off of where a guy already is.
Security.
Converse.
I'm gonna disagree a little bit, specifically in the black community. women don't date based off where a dude already is. I see in the black community, women dating drug dealers, scammers, wannabe rappers, wannabe athletes. They not dating based on where a dude already is. They're dating solely off potential because they think maybe this dude will become somebody. So I got to disagree with them on that. Specifically in the black community. Maybe every other race of women is doing that, but let's see what else you got.
Which women don't understand is that it's no incentive for a guy that's already there to marry somebody because, again, it's based off of the idea of building with you.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So if I don't need kids, if I'm already have my children, if I'm already successful, I don't really need to help me. You know what I'm saying? And we even changed the words to say partner. That's not the concept of what marriage is, right? That's not how a business works. We remix every single thing to mean something completely different. And then we apply it differently when it comes to relationships, when in every other aspect of our life, whether we go on to work, it's always going to be somebody ahead of you.
Okay.
It's always going to be a
true.
CEO, a CFO, you know what I'm saying? A CTO, chief technology officer. It's always a hierarchy. And then the buck got to stop somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because if they come to us and they say, well, what happened to y'all crib? They're not going to come to you. They come to me.
That's true.
You're absolutely
You see
right.
what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
you
That's
want a
true.
partnership because you want to share in being able to say what you want to say and do what you want to do. But at the same time, you yearn for leadership, and that's why they call me a groom. And so I don't think that most people understand what marriage is, and that's why we remixing it and changing it to mean something completely different, which is also inspiring people to say what they do and don't want based off of their experiences. It's a whole...
He's actually cooking a lot, man. Women really, really want it to be equal in their brains. They know for a fact they want a leader, but they're brainwashed to think that they want an equal. But if you ask them what they want the dude who's taller, the dude who's stronger, the dude who makes more money, the dude who's assertive, confident, dominant in every way, but they want to be equal to him. It doesn't make any sense. So, and he's 100% right too. If the marriage fails, 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to the man and be like, you're the reason that the marriage failed. Why didn't you hold this together? Why didn't you fix it? Why didn't you step up as a man and keep your marriage? How did you lose your wife? People never say, how did you lose your husband to a woman, So I think he's right.
Another concept. But this is weird, again, to hear women say that they don't want it or that they indifferent about it, because that's your natural yearning is to seek leadership or guidance or covering.
Your natural yearning could be that, but what happens when you've seen so many situations go left? For example, a lot of your views on marriage is positive because you told us yesterday that you had 9 people that's
On my mother's side.
on your mom's side alone.
And
that's
my father's
married.
side, I've never seen divorce.
Cool. So you
That's
are
good.
raised around marriage, so that's normal to you. For some people that grew up in toxic environments or in single parent households or anything like that,
That's
they
why
might
it's
not-
toxic. That's exactly why it's toxic. That's exactly why it's toxic, is because they grew up with no father. And I can say this from personal experience. I was messed up for a little bit because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, I've never had a male role model other than my brothers, and they had to just wing the shit too, That's what messes people up when you don't get both sides of the game. You can get the feminine aspect, but you need the masculine aspect too to be completely functional, It comes a point when you get older where you have to just figure the shit out yourself, and you can't make excuses. You just gotta, take accountability and see what you need to work on. But that's what the problem is. That's why it's toxic, because you're missing a key piece of the puzzle.
seen a healthy situation, a healthy marriage, or even understand how that could even work.
Correct.
Could you see how that throw them off sometimes?
100%. But then the kids pay for the sins of their parents.
Yikes.
And so ultimately, what you see people experience is just a reflection of the people that came before them.
Yeah.
So we need to stop holding each other accountable and go to your mother and your father and ask them why they fucked up.
A lot of mothers and fathers not ready to have that conversation.
So
And be in denial, because it be times when you bring up old shit to your parents and they be like, it didn't happen like that. That never happened.
Yeah.
That never happened.
I want to say too, so you made a point that stood out to me, that women naturally yearn for leadership and everything, but can you only get that by marrying a man? Could you be with somebody and he can lead you and y'all be together forever until one of y'all
believe
crossed
the fullest
over and he
potential
doesn't
for
have
it,
to
yeah.
be your husband?
it
Or
has to be your husband.
It has to be your
Yeah,
husband.
because he ain't finna cut the buck unless he know for a fact, because just like it means a lot to most women, it means a lot to men too, because that man got to go shopping for that ring. He got to get down on his knee. He got to already, go through the motions of, is this the right decision or not? Because marriage is hard for a man to actually.
I think that is the toughest decision and most important decision in a man's life, is the woman that he marries. You could look at Samson in the Bible. He was warned to stop messing with them, them pagan women. Didn't listen. Led to his blindness, led to his death ultimately. God still never forsook him. But you got to be very, very careful with who you marry. And that goes for women too. If you marry a ain't shit dude, your relationship's going to be trash. If a dude marries a hoe, your relationship is done. It's wraps. So the most important decision in your life, I think, as a man is who you marry.
Commit, because you want to make sure you're doing it right.
Yep.
Most people see how men getting played, especially if you know for a fact you got potential. You don't want to be played, you know what I'm saying, or even waste that time, or even be on the papers where you try to take care of a woman that you're not with. So you pretty much gonna,
I'll do you one better. Would you go and work for somebody without an actual agreement? And would you actually say that you work for this job without actually getting some real paperwork and benefits and all of the stuff that go along with it?
Come on.
I mean,
That's a good question, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
The thing with marriage,
that's true. I know I'm pausing a lot, but this is a good episode. There's a lot of things that he just said. I quit a job because they weren't offering me benefits. I got hired on with a temp agency. They told me after 3 months, they would make a decision on whether or not I'd be a full-time employee or not. 6 months roll around, still no solid position, no benefits, no none of that. If I get injured on the job, what's stopping y'all from firing me and just hiring the next guy from the temp agency? I need paperwork. So that's a very good analogy. Same thing with marriage. A woman wants that paperwork to show, like, look, you can't just leave me and go cheat on me and do whatever you want. There's some type of commitment and obligation with this. So I agree.
for me, is that everybody speaks about marriage in this idealistic way, you know, like the best of its potential. I have rarely seen that, right? But not only in my family, I do couples counseling, I do, advice, advice calls with people who've been divorced and married 3 times, 4 times. Like, a lot of people get married for the wrong reason.
I was just gonna say, they getting married because it's some fairy tale.
When I think of marriage, it's not that I don't think about it in a good light, but it's just that I just don't know that everybody really observes it in the manner in which, people would think of it in its best.
It's a difference between being married and being successfully married. And that's the thing that people don't understand. They seek the title, but they don't seek the understanding.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people get married for the complete wrong reasons. They get married because they felt butterflies and they think this is the love of their life. No. It's about duty and responsibility. If you get married, that's what you should have in your mind, about duty and responsibility. So that's pretty much it for this video. If y'all enjoyed it, please let me know what you thought about it in the comments. Hit that like button and don't forget to sub to the channel. Brand new channel, trying to hit 1,000 subs. Like I said in the previous video, I don't have a specific time goal on that, but I need to monetize this channel, man. So go ahead and help your boy out. Hit that sub button. That's pretty much it for this video. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.